Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Call Loyam La, Adanawa Yahweh, Bashem Shamalak Yahushai, Bashem Rakatash, double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone, peace, citation, hopeful, left, Shalom. And the title of this video is going to be Esau can't trust in Jacob's blessing and vice versa. The reason why I'm saying that is because, like, I was watching Amon Kabar's, like, most recent video, and pretty much, like, I remember when I was going deep into that video, I put the link in the description, and I might even put it to the time where he said, you know, pretty much what's similar to the title that I made of this video, because he mentioned that pretty much when it's coming to Jacob's blessing, Esau can't trust in that, you know, which is the Bible and understanding this truth, you know. Esau can't trust in our blessing because it's destined to fail for him, you know, because Esau ain't gonna get no spiritual powers, you know. And like I mentioned, if, you know, if they look like so-called white people, but they're in this truth, that means that they're scattered Israelite, you know. So just to point that out there, just to prevent any confusion. And when it's coming to Jake now, that nigga lifestyle shit, you know, being involved in gang activity, being a nigga with, you know, loaded up with guns and all type of weaponry, which is pretty much being carnal. You know, that's a way of death. And Jake is not supposed to be following after that mindset. That's supposed to be the mindset of the heathens, you know. But it's like Jake does twice what the heathens do. And the heathens have an excuse to do that because that's their power source. You know, carnality is their, you know, their power. You know, that left-hand side shit. And well, another thing Amon Gabar was also mentioning too is that kind of like saying that you are what you attract. Like the crowd you keep and the people around you and stuff like that. That's the type of, you know, you're going to attract this type of things. You know, so if you go on the righteous standpoint of things, you know, you mostly attract righteous things. If you go on the left-hand side of things, you're going to mostly attract that. You know, it's kind of like a, what you call it, a law of attraction type of thing, that as they will say in the world, he mentioned. But I just want to like explain the blessing in a way. So it says like Genesis 27:28, verse 28, therefore Yahweh will give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. You know, that's one of the blessings that Jacob is going to receive, is the kingdom of heaven. You know, Esau ain't going to receive that. He'll be in the kingdom of heaven, but his ass is going to be in captivity. And Genesis 27, verse, let me see, what you call it, verse 39. This is when Isaac gave Esau this blessing. It says, Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And, you know, currently Esau's living in his blessing right now, which is like him having dominion over the whole world. Pretty much it's almost like a half a day to the Heavenly Father that Esau's having his blessing, because it's like, you know, supposed to be like somewhere around like 500 years, you know. And we're already approaching the time where his blessing is going to end. And another thing I want to point out is that like the sword is like you know, a killing instrument, you know. The modern day sword would be the guns, you know. Mostly like in this sense, since Esau has the dominion over the whole entire world, he will have the most powerful nuclear weapons of all time, you know? And he has this, this is the reason why he has it, because it's like, this is his blessing, you know? The military technology that he has, the nuclear weapons of war that he has, you know, his advanced technology, artificial intelligence, all of that is his blessing. That's his power source. It's carnal, you know? And the thing is that you see Jake, no matter how rich Jake is, they would never be able to have access to the things that Esau has, you know? You could see, I don't give a fuck if you're talking about Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z, Tyler Perry, you know, any Jake that's above that, what you call it, in life, thinking like, you know, being considered as a multi-millionaire or billionaire, it don't matter. You're still gonna be, you know, looked at as a nigga compared to Esau. And Esau is not gonna ever, you know, there's a, what you call it, a boundary. I mean, well, that, you know, that Esau has with his own people, especially in his own caliber, you know, considering the fact that we're talking about upper echelon Edomites, you know, because even Esau's divided amongst his own self. So, you know, you got the super rich Edomites, like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, the ones who's actually truly rich that would never ever go poor. And then you got, what you call it, pretty much you got them like pushing the New World Order agenda, which is them trying to get back their birthright from, you know, that the Most High has taken away from them. Well, that has never granted them that birthright, you know, that actually belonged to Jacob, you know, because originally it was kind of like Esau was supposed to get it, but at the same time, it's like it was already prophesied that Jacob was going to get that blessing. And then Most High instead played Esau. You know, that's why over time in history, Esau has been playing us, where we're supposed to get certain benefits, we're supposed to get certain rights, but they took that shit away from us, you know, and limited our chances of being successful, you know. So, I don't want to dive too much into, you know, those things. I kind of don't want to go on a rant. I just want to bring out the main point of the message that correlates with the lesson, the title as well. All right. In 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9 says, "But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and a holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should shew forth the praises of him who have called you out of darkness and his marvelous light." So basically, the holy nation would be the nation of Israel, but honestly, the 1/3 and the 144,000 that's within the 1/3 are the ones to be saved, you know. And the 2/3, obviously, they're the most wicked of the nation of our people, but at the same time, it's like when it's coming to, you know, to the blessing and stuff, like our people are still going to get the blessing no matter what, regardless. You know, even after 2/3 get destroyed, they're going to be brought in their right state of mind in the kingdom, you know, because they're still a part of the blessing. They're still part of the nation of our people. But you see, Esau, he's never going to get that blessing at all. And the other heathens are, you know, same thing. They're never going to get that blessing that was meant for the nation of our people, you know. So, pretty much like, I think I already mentioned this, that when it's coming to Jake trusting in Esau's sword, you know, it's pretty much going to be destined to fail for Jake. Because, you know, Jake would think that he will have all the power in the world, that he could do the same things that Esau does, you know. Like, nah, man, you know, you can't, just because you have so much money in life or whatever, that you get in like millions or so, you can't do what Esau do. You know, that's how a lot of these celebrities get screwed over, you know. Even like, what you call this, mention how Bill Cosby, the shit that, you know, he was getting involved in or whatever, when I feel like, I don't know if he actually raped those women or so. I feel like it could be a hoax, but, you know, just to defame him, But yeah, he tried to buy CNN at one point, and they didn't allow him to do that. You know, showing you that even though you've been serving this devil Esau, and you've been selling out to him, it pretty much failed on your ass. You know, and that's what Esau wants. If you want to get a certain amount of status in life, if you want to get a certain amount of money in life, he wants you to sell out. And it's like, that's the thing that Jake fucks up in. They sell their soul to Esau, doing things that are pretty much anti-Yahweh, things that go against the law, statutes, commandments of the Heavenly Father on a whole nother level. They will pretty much do it. And next thing you know, once they're up there in the industry, in the Hollywood industry, they're going to see Esau for the devil that he really is. Because at the same time, it's like, he's just playing your ass. And, you're going to realize that somewhere down the line. Once the devil don't need you, he's just going to discard you like you're nothing. No matter what you did for him before. It don't matter if you bend over and allowed him to put it up your ass or put it in your mouth. And it don't matter all the foul shit that you did just to get up there in the industry. They still not gonna allow you to buy certain businesses within that industry of Hollywood, or yeah. And another thing too is like, they're not gonna allow you to get away with certain things as well. So yeah, pretty much showing you that they still look at you as a nigga, no matter what. No matter if you were so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native American. And because a lot of people need to understand, a lot of jigs need to understand, is that even if you're a celebrity, even if you're rich and shit like that, you're still gonna have to pay consequences. Like Jake would try to be thinking that they could, do all them sort of drugs and stuff like that, and thinking that they're gonna get away with murder. But at the same time, it's like, you gotta keep in mind that Esau, he could get away with these things because, this is his kingdom. That's his blessing. His blessing is carnality. He's the one that's supposed to be, what you call it? He's supposed to be the one to trust in his sword, to trust in his guns, his drugs and all that other shit. But Jake is like, you gotta pretty much trust in the spiritual things, which is this truth. And this is in Romans 9, chapter verse 21, says, have not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel unto honor and another unto dishonor. So pretty much like Esau will be that vessel to dishonor, and Jacob will be the vessel to honor. You know what I mean? So pretty much it goes a little deep that the Most High chose Jake to be righteous, and he chose Esau to be wicked. Malachi chapter 1 verse 3. Wait, matter of fact, I'm going to start off verse 1. It says, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Saith the Lord. Yet I loved Jacob. And I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. See? And in verse 4, they also call like the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. So most I don't even care about this devil, and he gave Esau the blessing of this earth, which is the fatness of this earth. And the funny thing is, a lot of Edomites, as I speak as at this point, they're not even enjoying their full blessing, because you have the ones that are poor, and then you got the ones that are middle class. From the middle class position, some of them are actually becoming poor. And then you have some that are like, just in a, let's just say like they have upper middle class, like, level. Because like you could be a slave no matter what class you're in. Even if you're rich too, you could be a slave. Because like you have to owe so much money back. And that's the problem with a lot of people, is that they will think that, once you have a certain amount of money, you have a high income, they're not looking at the liabilities that you're paying off and shit like that, like how that's enslaving you, how you got to work for so long just to pay it off. Just because you have more things, more in your possession, like more expenses and more liabilities, that don't make you rich. That just makes you, poor, even if it's nice stuff you're having. That's just an illusion to thinking that you're rich, but you actually are, being a slave, and especially like having high credit lines, and that's another thing too that enslaves you. But pretty much, yeah. So like I mentioned that Esau pretty much has like, the fatness of the earth, and who's mostly getting most of that blessing is the elites, you know, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, people that's on that level, where they're part of like the 13th family bloodlines that are part of the Illuminati and shit like that, that actually rule the world, and wickedness. Yeah. And even the Queen of England, and you know, yeah, the Queen of Britain, even her, forgot her name, but all of those people, those upper echelon Edomites, they're the ones that's actually receiving most of their blessing, and the ones who's receiving the least will be like these homeless ass Edomites, these poor level Edomites, and it's pretty much sad for them because this is their kingdom, and they're not looking out for their own people because they're mostly only caring about their own families that are pretty much close to them, like their close families and people that's on their level at least. That's who they're really caring for, And this is the thing that Jake gotta understand. This is the reason why you gotta thank the Heavenly Father that you were born as a Jake, because that would really suck. Because when the Most High finna bless Jake, man, oh my God, he finna bless you like no other, man. Like shit, he gonna give you a whole galaxy blessing, and it's gonna be infinite because we're always gonna receive blessings in the kingdom. We're always gonna keep getting more and more things. We're gonna get infinity basically, but there's gonna be a level to it, and we're gonna have the spiritual powers that Esau always have dreamed of having. Esau has to go about using transhuman technology, has to go about being a cyborg or some shit just to get some sort of artificial, like an artificial, what you call it, alternative to spiritual power, I should say. Yeah. And he's trying to do that with artificial intelligence. This man is trying to use artificial intelligence to try to achieve immortality. So he's basically trying to like replicate whatever the Heavenly Father's doing, the Esau's doing it on the negative left-hand side. He's trying to replicate it, thinking that he could do what the Heavenly Father does, and it's just not going to work. It's failing for him because that's not his blessing, In the scriptures, it mentions that, for our people, that we will have those spiritual powers. We will get the immortality. We will become pretty much, like gods. You see, Esau's trying to do that, but at the same time, he's trying to use the left-hand side to do so. And that shit ain't going to work out for him. It's going to ultimately fail. In 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4, it says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh to the pulling down of strongholds." Basically, like, that would pretty much be, one of our blessings, which would be, this truth, right? Because the Lord did say, seek first, the kingdom of Yahweh, and then everything else will be added unto you, right? And how you seek that is through this truth, through the knowledge, wisdom, understanding of this truth. Then, you actually rehearsing in righteous acts to the best of your ability. And you will receive, the blessings that is coming down the line. If you are meant to endure to the end as a hopeful elect, you will receive like the best of the blessings, and you will be pretty much like out of the 2/3, you'll be on that line, on that what you call it, to be like on top of the level of a you'll be like as a 1/3 or maybe 144,000. Like you will be pretty much like that would be the best of the blessing, honestly, in the kingdom of heaven. You know what I'm saying? But now when it's coming to someone like Esau, now that's what Esau wants. He was wishing and hoping that he could have the same blessing that Jacob could have, that Jacob has. But his blessing is the sword. And boy, when Esau go crazy, he pulled that Revelation chapter 12, where it says how the devil shall come down with great wrath, knowing that he hath but a short time. He's gonna really reveal his whole full wrath, because he knows that his time is running short, and he gotta put his hand to the plow and doing, a basically heavy load of wickedness to just push his New World Order agenda, well, NWO, I should say, so that he could try to, get back his birthright, which is going to ultimately fail, but, because it's kind of like how the Lazarus and the rich man, I want to bring that up. So, Luke 17, chapter 16, verse 20, it will say, like, and there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. And the rich man also died and was buried. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and seeing Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things, but now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. And besides all this, between us there is a great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that would come from thence. And this is just very much like a parable mentioning that how Esau was pretty much what you would consider as the rich man. The dogs will be the heathen nations, and then the Lazarus will be Jake, and we're in that Lazarus state of because like we're always begging and desiring for pretty much to just work a certain job just to pay off our debts and stuff like that. So we're pretty much earning crumbs compared to this devil Esau. Esau has the whole pie. These little celebrities, here and there, whether they be millionaires, multimillionaires or so, they will earn certain slices of the pie. And Jake, that's pretty much you got certain Jakes that earn a certain amount of crumbs or so. And even these grimy ass niggas, they will earn their little crumbs, and they will, do a certain amount of wickedness to get more crumbs. Because thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, those are like crumbs to Esau. When you're talking millions and stuff like that, that's just thinner slices of the pie. Because Esau, honestly, is like his net worth will be trillions of dollars, like 500 trillion, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. And it's sad that to say that even their own people are receiving crumbs too. They're not even all of their people are actually receiving a decent amount of the blessing. Sadly, for them, who gives a fuck? But because I know I don't, and I know brothers in the truth don't either. Cause that's Esau's problem. So but yeah, and that great gulf fix, like the shit that they could get away with on this side that we can't get away with, is gonna be like in the kingdom. Well, we're going to be righteous in the kingdom. And we're going to be able to do a lot of things that Esau can't do, because Esau's going to be in captivity for, 1,000 years. And when Esau's in captivity for 1,000 years, it's like you can't, eat the food that we eat. You can't feel free to try to talk to our woman and even look at our woman a certain type of way. You can't talk shit to us, but we could talk shit to you in the kingdom. We could whip your ass. You can't whip our asses, So there's going to still be a lot of things that we could do that you can't do in our kingdom. And everything we're going to do is going to be righteous. It's still going to be, like we're going to still have to follow all the law, statutes, commandments of the Heavenly Father. And it's going to be within us to do so. And then we're just going to beat it in you to do it, Only time we can't lay hands on you is the high holy days and Sabbath. Other than that, we're going to whip your ass, And pretty much, yeah. So the shit that y'all could get away with, the blessings y'all got, the sword y'all got, and all that shit that y'all have access to easily, and it's like, even if you're licensed for a gun or some shit, and it's like you're a Jake and they see you out there kind of like displaying it or so, they want, like, sometimes they still want to have an excuse to shoot you and shit like that, but it's all right though, because in the kingdom, like I mentioned, that great Gulf fix. So that's pretty much what's going to be. So yeah, hope I made the lesson edifying. Let's give all glory, praise, honor to Adonai, Yahweh, Bashem, Shamalak, Yasharahla, Bashem, Kakdash, to honor to the apostles and elders, great millstone, peace, I teach you on full that. Yahweh, Bashem, Shabbat, Shalak, Rayam, Adawam, Yam, Wako, Yam, Wa, Abba, Shalom.